Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm your host, Hilmarie, and today's guest brings a refreshing blend of strategy, innovation, and personal growth to the world of skincare and entrepreneurship. Jitin Jaggi is the managing director of Circadia Skincare, SAMENA, where he's leading the brand's expansion across Africa, the Middle East, South Asia, and Southeast Asia. But behind the title is a personal journey of courage and self-belief. Jitin's story is one of transformation, facing self-doubt, taking risks, and ultimately helping raise industry standards through education, strategy, and global partnerships. Jitin, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Hilmarie. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
So, Jitin, let's start at the beginning. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us how you ended up here in the UAE?
My name is Jitin Jaggi, and I'm currently serving as the managing director for the Circadia SAMENA office based in Dubai. My nationality is Indian, but like many GCC residents, I've spent the entirety of my life in the Middle East. My family actually started moving to Kuwait in the 50s and 60s, and I was born in Kuwait shortly before the first Gulf War. When things got a little dicey in Kuwait, my family moved to Dubai, and I've been here ever since. So it's been almost 35 years here in the UAE for me. I went to school here and I graduated from the American University in Sharjah. I have a lot of siblings and cousins over here as well. So we are a very big family unit. My wife has her family here in the UAE as well. So, a lot of my life has basically been in the UAE.
Amazing. As you said, there's a lot of expats living in the Middle East, especially in Dubai and the UAE, that have a very long history. Many born and raised in the Middle East, as you have. I know you studied finance and you got top honors and then built a strong standing as a market leader in your industry. And then you made a change. What sparked the pivot into skincare and what did that leap into the unknown look like for you?
I did study finance and I minored in economics. I graduated right after the recession in 2008. So all of our hopes and dreams had to take a little bit of a hold right there. So what I did was I actually joined right after I graduated. I joined my family business at that time, which had just started as well. And I got into merchandise licensing. And that's something which I did for a long time. So I would say that my main pivot really wasn't from finance. It was actually from the merchandise licensing business that I did into skincare. And my pivot into skincare in particular was just based on an opportunity presenting itself to me. Along with my brother and my father, we built a licensed merchandise company from the ground up. We brought in another partner along the way. We built it into one of the largest licensees in the region. We expanded it to several more international territories. But I just always had the feeling like maybe I should have joined the corporate world at some point. I started the day after I graduated. It was the only thing I ever did for 15 years. So I always felt like I don't have any experience in any other industry. Don't get me wrong, we built the entire company from scratch. I did get quite an education into scaling up, hiring, building up processes, expectation management, sales, purchase, everything else that goes into building a company. But I always had that feeling inside that I know my experience is valuable, but I don't know how that necessarily translates into the wider external business world. And I wanted to try my hands at something else. And I know that at this point of my career, if I wait any longer, I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to try my hand at something different. Once you get into your 40s, maybe you might not get an opportunity to transition or you might not get the right one for you at the stage of your career that you're in. So I got a chance to meet the top leadership of Circadia during a trip to the US, and everything which they said, it just went over my head the first time when I met them. It was an industry that was very different from retail, which I was mostly involved in. Retail can sometimes feel very monopolistic in this region. It feels like a lot of sellers just trying to sell into very few buyers, and the power structure is very favored in their hands. So skincare felt like a much more open market. It was just a lot of opportunity in there. So that it was really exciting, but definitely it was, there was a little bit of hesitation behind it as well.
Your journey is quite unconventional, as you said, starting out in finance and graduating just after the 2008 financial crisis, but then working with a family business, building something up from scratch. I don't think too many people would leave, let's call it comfort, of familiar surroundings, working with family. You were challenged in yourself. You wanted to try something different. Many people would struggle with self doubt if they made such a bold career change from one industry into another. You took that leap, changing from an industry that you had worked in for 15 years to take advantage of this opportunity. Were there any moments early on when you questioned your path and questioned your decision? And if there was, how did you overcome that?
Hilmarie, that's not in the start. I don't know if it's me or the person. My wife thinks it's because I'm a Virgo, and there is some value to it. I think you should always be questioning yourselves because it takes a certain amount of self awareness to not be sure. I'm always very, very scared of people who are really confident because I don't know if they ever take the moment to doubt what they're doing and reinforce the process that got them to where they were. So there's a lot of imposter syndrome as well that comes in, and I've spoken about it previously to my friends as well. You feel like, am I really supposed to be here? Do I know what I'm doing? When you start something, I believe that given enough time, everyone can be good at anything. Similar to, the 10,000 hours that it takes to become an expert at something. When you start something, you don't have that much time. Time is a finite resource. So the longer you take to become good at something, you're basically just letting a lot of your goodwill go to waste to the point where people don't have confidence in you. So you need to find the right path and you need to keep questioning yourself on, is this the right path? Because you might not have too many chances to keep correcting yourself. The way that I overcome it is I keep a circle of people whose opinions I trust. Primarily among that are my brother and my father. I try to take lessons from our journey together when we were building up the previous business as well. And I ask them, what are their opinions? I mean, I take everybody's opinions. In the end, I do what I feel is right because I have to live with that decision. But my brother and my father is someone who I really reach out to. Thankfully for me, Circadia has a very open structure and I can always reach out to the CEO and COO of Circadia as well. They've been in this battle together as well, starting the company growth from the North America region. So they've gone through a lot of these challenges themselves. And then I have a lot of close friends who I really value their opinion. They tell it like it is. So I think the self-doubt is going to keep coming in several times in your career. But as long as you have a good group of friends who keep you grounded, I think that's very important.
I think that's excellent insight. I love your honesty that you say that you still question yourself, but I love the takeaway is have a good group of people that you surround yourself with that's willing to give you honest feedback so that if there is a need to course correct, that you can still take it and don't take so long to make a decision to change because we have a limited time. So don't waste too much time, but tap into those resources. You mentioned earlier about meeting the owners or the leadership of Circadia. Let's talk a little bit about Circadia. It is a well-known name in professional skincare. What initially drew you to the brand and what excites you most about the work that you're doing now?
Like most men my age, we get into skincare a lot later than we should ideally be getting into it. I didn't know much about Circadia when I was just starting off, but I did a lot of research. I sat and researched the entire company for close to a year before I made a decision. What is the market positioning that they operate in? What does the industry look like? Circadia is very unique because it's family owned, it's family run, it's getting larger and larger every year. But in essence, this is a company that was started by the current CEO's grandfather. He's running the company with a very close knit circle. So the best thing about it is that, you have very easy access to all levels of the management. Especially for me, I can reach out to the CEO and CEO and, just pick their brain on what it is that I need to do or how is it that I need to approach, run some ideas by them. So that's definitely something very unique with them. They have an industry leading margin, which really helps me out because there are very few skincare companies that have direct brand presence here. Most of them operate through distributors, but Circadia is a company that puts a lot of time and effort and capital into expansion and marketing. So they have actually invested in, if we want to be in the SAMENA region, we need to open our own offices over here and have a direct brand presence here that gives us an industry leading margin, which is frankly, it's quite difficult to beat right now with our market positioning. The best thing about Circadia, at least my role within the company right now is that we actually have to enter a lot of really cold markets, markets where the aesthetic industry is either in its infancy or it just doesn't exist at all. So it's very adventurous and exciting to go to a completely new market and find any foothold to start setting up the brand. Along with that, my role with the brand, it's a very people-facing role. It's relationship building with partners who not only trust the brand, but they are investing into becoming a distributor for the brand based primarily on their trust level with me. So the entire process of getting partners on board, educating them about the brand, taking them through the business plans and helping them settle in the market and grow the brand, that's, something which is very exciting for me. And it's very fulfilling when you're able to create a business in which all parties make money. It's any business in which just a few of the stakeholders are benefiting it. That's not really a great business at all. So as long as everyone is actually benefiting from it and the consumer gets a great product, that's really something that Circadia helps to build.
Yeah, it sounds like you found a good fit for yourself. And as you say, challenging to enter cold markets, but exciting at the same time when you're bringing something so new and setting up a new brand in the region. The skincare industry is evolving quickly, as most other industries, I guess. What trends or shifts are you seeing right now that you think professionals need to pay close attention to?
Yes, skincare is growing really, really, really fast right now. And I think a big part of it that has to do with the rise of social media. So people do start off from the supermarket and pharmacy brands, and then they essentially start moving into a more potent skincare options that work a lot better for their skin. When they get into that frame of mind, learning a lot more about what are the ingredients in your product and how does that exactly affect you is the most important thing. So the number one trend that I would say is just separating the misinformation or the trend-based trending sort of glass facial or Korean skincare. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot of information that comes in through social media that may not be correct. For an aesthetic professional, the most important thing is going to be educating your customers and your consumers of these products into what is the right product for you and how do you stick with classic skincare that works for you day in and day out.
Would you say that everybody needs to consider what you call medical grade skincare, or is that sort of more for people who have skin challenges or challenges with their skin?
I think if you're born with great skin, that's fine. I mean, you're lucky. Kudos to you to win in the genetic lottery. I think what really ends up happening is that when you are in this segment, you're not really targeting people under the age of 30. Even with Circadia, we are really targeting people after a certain age group. There's certain ingredients like retinol and stuff that, we don't really want young people trying on. Once you cross 30, it's a good practice to start taking care of your skin because what you're essentially doing is, and Circadia does only topical skincare, no injectables in the Circadia range, but what it does is that it really delays the onset of skin damage that you would start seeing in your 40s, your early 40s, late 40s, sometimes even 30s with the kind of sun damage that people see over here. You don't necessarily have to get into medical grade skincare, but what you will find out is that a lot of skincare options that you see in a supermarket or a pharmacy, they really just use buzzwords. And then when you take a look at what the effectiveness level is, it's not that much. If you want something that really gives you the bang for the buck, you should try and invest in something where the ingredients actually follow through on the claims in a much better way.
So, for somebody who really doesn't know the difference or know what they should be looking for, where do they start? What's the first thing they should research?
I'm going to assume that this is an professional from the aesthetic industry who wants to know a little bit more about investing into medical grade skincare for their practice. I think a great resource for that is actually Circadia University. Dr. Peter Pugliese, who was the founder of Circadia, was always very focused around not just educating people about the brand, but also about skincare in general, ingredient technology. So one of the key focus of Circadia has been into creating an online platform that's a free resource for professionals where they can register and they can take a look at all of the training videos that are available for the Circadia range, but also you get to see interviews with industry professionals. You get to see a lot more things on how to grow your business. You see a lot more things, a lot more reports and videos about the best new ingredient technology which is there in the market. A lot of effort has gone over the last few years into standardizing the videos. These videos existed in like a lot of different forms across many years. It was actually all reshot in a studio in the US, and it's been set up to be in a way like the YouTube of the aesthetic industry. So that's a great resource. If you're trying to get into the industry as a professional, this is a fantastic place. Even if you don't use Circadia, you're going to learn so much more from just taking a look at the resources that we have. It's not just the in-person trainings. There are also a lot of third-party training videos. For example, we have training videos on dermaplaning. We have great collaboration oncology courses as well. There's a very recent training course on how to manage skincare for menopausal women. There's also our aging masterclasses. There's a lot. There's more than 100 protocols and does answer a lot of your questions on, what are the current trends in the market right now and how can you address them with or even without Circadia.
Excellent. I love that you've made these resources available so that people can go and educate themselves. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. What role do partnerships play in Circadia's growth, and how do you approach building meaningful partnerships?
Partnerships are key, especially in the Middle East region. A lot of times you are able to get by with just having like a web-based business, maybe in other parts of the world. But in the Middle East, people really buy from you if they like you and if they're able to see the kind of mutual benefit that they're really looking for. I always tell everybody in my team, no one's going to make money on a single sale and no one's really going to buy from you if they don't like you. So we need to be able to communicate to all potential customers out there that, we really kind of work on building a partnership together. And there's a lot of things that we try to reinforce through our words and our actions. The first one is we are here to stay. This is a direct brand presence in the market. And we are going to be here with you, helping you through the process of onboarding the brand. And even if you don't want to do it right now, we're always there. We're a call away. And basically, we're not going anywhere. The second thing is that we are stable with prices. In the company summit last year, I found out that we haven't raised prices in 8 years, which is very, very amazing. If you think about it, there is nothing that hasn't gone up in the last 8 years. So the way Circadia is able to do that is that we have a fully vertically integrated setup. We have our own factory in the US and we are able to control prices because it's a family structure. It's not constantly being sold to a new private equity group. The founders really believed that there needs to be stability for aesthetic professionals. Everything is constantly getting more expensive. You don't want your products to get more expensive because essentially how many costs are you really able to pass on to your consumers and your customers as well? So we are very stable with prices, and partnering with us, we have a very aggressive margin structure. So that is something that we always put right up front to all the partners because we're all in business to be able to make sure that our revenues exceed our expenses, and partnering up with Circadia is really going to help you achieve that. We are also always evolving. Circadia is probably one of the few brands out there that have new product launches every single year. We've had 4 product launches last year. We had 3 or 4 the year before. What's coming up in 2026 is highly classified and we'll find out in a couple of weeks, but I'm quite sure that we have a couple of releases scheduled for this year as well. And fourth, this is something which is very important for aesthetic professionals. You always want to keep upgrading your skills, whether that comes in through courses, whether that comes in through attending trade shows and being able to travel and meet your peers from around the world. And Circadia does give you the opportunities to do that. So we do take part in a lot of trade shows globally, and we do take some of our KOLs and our top partners, all the distributors from around the world, bring their top partners and KOLs for these things. But they're also open events. You can always buy a ticket and come in for a 2-day education event. We have in 10 days, we have one in Vegas. Summer of 2026, we have one in Malaga in Spain. Last year was in Dubai, where distributors and their top customers from around the world were in Dubai. So our partnerships do focus on all of these, and there's a lot of benefits to working with Circadia.
Sounds like a lot of exciting things happening. You've mentioned a lot of things that you're looking forward to with Circadia. What's next for you personally as a leader?
Personally, we are grown very rapidly. Over the last 2 years, we've actually set up the brand in many countries, either directly or through a partner. We've set up in Bahrain, Qatar, Oman. We are in the process with Saudi Arabia. We've been to Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Maldives, Mauritius, Seychelles, Namibia, and South Africa. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a couple as well. What we want to focus on for 2026 is just to make sure that we don't expand a lot quicker than we can handle. So we want to put a little bit of a pause, just make sure that we work with all our partners in these countries, so that they are growing in the right manner and they're able to make an impactful presence with the brand. We are also distributing directly into India, South Africa, and in the UAE. So just setting up our office, we are hiring pretty aggressively. We are growing our team. So just growing the brand on our own within these three markets is also going to be one of our key focuses for 2026.
A lot happening. I think a pause sounds like a good idea because, my goodness, you are into a lot of different countries. Evidently, it's going well. So, congratulations on the growth and for all that is happening. Just to make it a bit practical for our audience, looking back at your experience, at your journey, what advice would you give to someone who is not fulfilled in the journey that they're on, but they're holding back from change or from changing direction due to fear or uncertainty?
Fear and uncertainty is not necessarily a bad thing. It's your natural fight or flight response. It helps you evaluate the situation more critically. I think what a lot of people get frustrated about is, as they come into their 30s, they start thinking, I've wasted so much time. I would say that of all the journeys that you end up taking, your career is probably your longest one. So if you're in high school, that's 4 or 5 years, that's it. You go from entering high school as a complete newbie to being at the top of your game by the time you're in grade 12. And that's 4 years. Enter university, that's another 4 years. You enter as a freshman, you work your way up. By the time you're a senior, you're graduated, you're at the top of your game. And then you again enter your career right at the bottom. So, you've been at the top, you've gone at the bottom, you've been at the top, you've gone at the bottom. But now with your career, that's going to be the next 30, 40 years of your life. If you started at 21 and you feel like you're going nowhere in your early 30s, you shouldn't be that worried about it because you still are entering the prime of your career. You do have the ability to make a change and do something else that can help you move to where you want to be. But you should be a little critical about it. You should be very careful with the company that you select should have the right training opportunities. Every company doesn't always have a system in place to train new entrants into the industry. They might be great companies, they might be doing really good work, but they don't necessarily know how to train someone new. They should be having a very good system of corporate rules, corporate processes. If you are trying to enter into an industry and that's something that's not really available, it might not be a great idea for you to shift industries and go into that company. You should also be looking at the industry very carefully. The best industries to go in are the ones that are growing and scalable. If you are trying to enter into a market that isn't really growing, you should really reevaluate if this is the industry that you want to get into. Any economy always has winners and losers. The best thing to do is to figure out which industries are doing well and try to package your skills in a manner that you end up joining a growing industry. The last thing which I would say is you should select your supervisor or your line manager or your boss really carefully. No matter which company you go in, whether it's large or it's small, the person who you are directly reporting to and potentially the person, who you may be indirectly reporting to as well, they have a significant impact into how well are you going to do over there. If they have the ability, or let's say if they have the empathy to see things from your point of view and to show you the ropes, you're going to do really, really great things. But if they don't really have it in them, you could be in the best company in the world. You're not going to be doing much. So you should really think about all of these topics. They're more important than just getting into the hottest industry out there.
Some really excellent insights and some good takeaways. I know that even for yourself, you said that you had studied Circadia for a year before you took that leap as well. So to do the research, to be careful of the industry that you go into. And I like how you said to select your boss carefully. So when you're going for that interview, it's not them interviewing you. You need to be interviewing them to find out if this is the kind of person you want to work with, because it's going to have such a big impact on your future. Some really good tips. Thank you for sharing that. Now we have come to the segment of our show where I will ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
Please fire away.
Strategy or intuition? What drives your decision making more?
Intuition.
Skincare trend you're most excited about right now?
Peptides.
One habit or mindset shift that changed your career?
The world doesn't owe you anything.
Book or podcast you recommend to young entrepreneurs?
I would say there's a book I read really early on, which was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that's really important. You could be in any business, but if you're not going to be likable, you're not going anywhere.
What does leadership mean to you?
putting your team before yourself.
Oh, I like that. Servant leadership. And what is one thing you do every day, no matter how busy you get?
I don't ever listen to the radio, and I always have a few podcasts on. So no matter what happens, I actually keep something on in the car which I could learn from. I rarely ever listen to the radio. I don't really listen to music that much in the car. So the podcasts keep changing, but they're almost always about history or business or just something new.
I'm the same. I listen to podcasts every single day, so I can totally relate. Well, thank you for playing along. That was easy enough.
Yes, it was. I'm glad. Thank you so much.
Now I would like to ask you our signature green pill question. What green pill advice would you give to your younger self?
I think a lot of times people feel like you have to win at everything to move up in life. So you need to get the best grades, you need to win at sports. There's a lot of things that you need to win at. And I think I've seen the people who've shown the best growth are the ones who actually lost a little. I think losing a little earlier in life gives you the ability to pick yourself up and it builds resilience. And I think when people go through schools and universities are very structured, closed environments, it's not very easy, but it's relatively easier to succeed in them than when you start working, which are completely open, unpredictable environments. You never really know why something happened or who's out there that can affect your life. You might never even have seen that person. But if you just keep winning in school and universities because you don't take chances, you don't take risks, and you say no to a lot of things, and you're scared of trying anything new. Once you come into the real world of business or whatever it is that you're doing in your career, when you lose, sometimes you haven't built up the resilience to be able to pick yourself up. So what I would tell my younger self is that take a few more chances at doing things that are out of your comfort zone, and it's fine. Just lose a little. It's okay if you fail an exam, because you have to go through a few setbacks to be able to understand what it is that you need to do to pick yourself up. And everyone's going to lose at some point. It's just better to have done it a little earlier and learn from it.
Excellent advice. So don't always take the easy path. Challenge yourself to take the harder path so that you can fail, because that is what builds up resilience. Your story is a great reminder that stepping into the unknown can lead to powerful transformation, not just professionally, but personally too. From global strategy to personal growth, you're making a meaningful impact in the skincare space and beyond.
Thank you so much, Hilmarie. It has been really insightful to actually think about, all of these questions. And a lot of these topics are things I haven't even thought about in a long time. So it's been great talking to you, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Absolutely. I've enjoyed the conversation. A lot of good insights and a lot of good takeaways for our audience as well. Before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you or learn more about Circadia Skincare?
Well, I do have a work Instagram profile. You are free to drop me a text over there. I think that would be the best place. I am also fairly active on LinkedIn, so you can follow me on LinkedIn as well and reach out to me.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And to our audience, thank you for joining us on the Matrix Green Pill podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and share this episode with someone who might be standing at the edge of their next big leap. Until next time, stay curious, build a circle of people you can trust, and keep challenging yourself.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.